Hello and welcome to Unfrazzle with me, Louise Miller. If you're a solo business owner and you have a big, exciting vision and loads of ideas that you want to get out in the world but without drowning in a sea of overwhelm, then this is the podcast for you. Each week I'll be sharing bite-sized insights to help you stop faffing and stay focused so you can make your brilliant ideas happen and make a bigger impact in the world. It's time to step away from the hustle and find a kinder, more sustainable approach to productivity. So grab yourself a cuppa and let's get started. So this week, it's the Make It Happen Club takeover here on Unfrazzle to celebrate the doors being open to new members right now. And every day I'm chatting with a different member of the club to shine a spotlight on them and the brilliant work they're doing in the world. And today I would love to introduce you to Dorothy Watt, who supports people with chronic health issues to get back to living a life that lights them up. She tells us all about the proudest moment in her business, which involves a golf ball, and has a great take on making sure you're saving your limited supply of discipline for the things that make the most sense for you and where you're at on your business journey. So if you or someone you know is struggling with your health and conventional medicine isn't working for you, go and check out Dorothy. All of her links are in the show notes. And also, just a reminder that the doors to Make It Happen Club are open right now. They close on the 14th of June 2024 and the link to find out more is also in the show notes. So the audio on this episode might be a little bit shaky in places, but I really hope you'll stick with us as Dorothy has some wonderful wisdom to share. So enjoy this conversation with Dorothy. So I am absolutely delighted to be joined by the wonderful Dorothy Watt today. Dorothy has actually been a member of Make It Happen Club since November 2020. So Dorothy is a founder member of the club, has been with us for 3.5 years. So I am really, really happy to be shining a giant spotlight on her and her fabulousness and her fabulous work. So thank you, Dorothy, for being here today.
Oh, you're very welcome. Thanks for asking me.
Oh, no, my pleasure. And we're just going to get the most important question out of the way first. Chocolate or crisps?
Well, do you know, it's a close call. A few years ago, it would have been crisps, but now you can get such good dark chocolate with nibs in and orange oil. I think it's just crisps still, but it's close.
Oh, I thought you were going to be going, it's just inched into the chocolate territory, but it is still crisps with chocolate a close second. Okay.
Yeah.
And it sounds like we've got very similar taste. I'm a dark chocolate. The darker, the better for me.
Yeah. Indeed.
Well, I'm glad we cleared that up. So now we've got that out of the way. Let's get to the important stuff. So can you tell everybody who's listening what it is that you do?
Right. Well, I'm a transformational homeopath. So I have a very different perspective on health and well-being from the conventional Western medicine approach. And I support people who tend to be women, but not always, with really chronic issues. So that could be to do with mood, sleep, digestion, skin, anything like that. But it's really starting to affect their life. And I'd help nudge them out of that rut that they feel stuck in so that they can get back to living the life that actually lights them up.
And I felt myself doing a very big exhale as you were saying all of that. And I love the use of the word nudge there as well. Gentle nudging.
It is very gentle.
Yeah, I know. I 100% believe that of you, knowing you as I do. You're never going to be forcing anyone. And I'm sure that you've got people queuing up because I think there's a lot of women who are in that very position. So, yeah, can you tell us also a little bit why this work is so important to you?
Well, I'm like most complementary therapists. I started off going down this route because I had my own Damascus healing experience. And there are so many people out there who need this support, who are getting nothing from conventional medicine. Fine if it works for you, but if it doesn't, the way I look at things, our emotions have so much to do with the physical symptoms that we develop. I'm not saying it's psychosomatic, it's just that the two are inextricably linked from my perspective. And I can see a way of supporting and helping. So it's just it's an absolute mission.
Yeah. And there's been so much more conversation, even in the last couple of years since, you and I met a while ago, but even since then, there's been so much more discussion around the science behind all of that, hasn't there? The fact that there is a link between our emotions and our physical body, and the
Indeed.
two things aren't separate. What's that book that massively took off? Is it the body knows this? No, the body keeps a score. What's that?
The
There's a
Body Keeps the Score is one of them.
Yeah, I know.
Yes.
I've heard so many people talking about that. I haven't read it myself, so I can't comment on that, but it is so interesting to see the conversation that's coming up around all of this now. Must be
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
well, not reassuring, because and you've known for a long time, but it must
It's
be good.
reaffirming.
That's the word. Yeah.
And yes, I mean, there's a book called The Molecules of Emotion, which was published in the 1980s and by Candace B. Pert, I think her name is. And she was a biochemist, and she got the Nobel Prize, I think, um, for actually finding that there were receptors all over the body for the neurotransmitters that were thought to just have receptors in the brain.
Mm.
So there is really a physiological basis behind it that's been known for 40 years.
Yeah, yeah. It's so interesting, isn't it? And do you find that most of your clients have come to you as a bit of a last resort? Everything else they've tried hasn't worked.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And what a gift that you're then able to help them kind of find a way through the thing that's been just driving them crazy, for such a long time. I think it's beautiful.
Mm.
And on that note, then, what has been your proudest moment in your business so far?
Well, I think my proudest moment was actually to do with this golf ball.
Oh,
Well, because I used to be a teacher before I was a homeopath, and I really, really enjoy teaching people to use homeopathy for themselves at home, um, on the sort of acute day-to-day stuff, and then I can focus on the nice deep stuff. Um, but also, I like using my teaching skills to explain to people how homeopathy makes sense to me. I can't say this is how homeopathy works, because clearly it doesn't work with a golf ball. But I've developed an analogy which makes sense to so many people and helps them sort of visualize how something as apparently counterintuitive as homeopathy might work.
well, you can't say that and then not have me invite you to share the analogy, can you? Come on, if you're willing, are you game?
Yes, absolutely, definitely. So just imagine that this golf ball is like a human body, because golf balls have dips all over the surface of them. And it's like our bodies are full of energy, but our energy is full of dips. And we all have those dips in different places. And the energy dips that we have in our body are where we have energetic weaknesses. You know, those areas that when we get unwell, that's always where it goes to.
Yeah.
So one of mine is my sinuses. Some people have it their stomach, some people it's their skin, oh, it's my weak spot. Everything goes there. That's one of your energy dips. So when you have an infection, energy dips are great spots for the germs to collect. They've got a nice sheltered little space where they can proliferate in peace and nothing is going to happen to them. You take some antibiotics or some other Western drugs, and they will wipe those germs out, leaving that nice dip still behind. But just imagine with homeopathy, where we actually match the remedy to the particular symptoms that people have. So it will match your absolute weakness exactly, or as nearly as we can. And rather than wiping the germs out from the surface, it's like taking a syringe and injecting the missing energy into the center of the body. And then the energy pushes the dip up from the inside, so that rather than having this nice deep dip, the dip gets shallower. And the more of that remedy you have, the more of the energy you get replacing it, the less of a weakness your body has. So that next time those germs come along, you don't get the infection in the same way. You might get it shorter, you might get it less severe, or you might just not get it at all. So you can see in that way that homeopathy is actually healing, as opposed to the conventional medicine where you've still got the dip. So the next time the germs come along, they are just going to collect in the same way. And in fact, your infection is likely to be worse because the antibiotics will also have affected your gut flora.
Yeah.
So your whole immunity will be worse. So I just love that as a model, and I've seen so many people go, that really makes sense.
Yeah, it does really make sense. And it's, as you were speaking there, it's like the difference between healing and the treating, isn't it? That's what it comes down to. And that is such a beautiful visual image of that. And I'm now envisaging a ping pong ball instead of a golf ball without all of the little dips in it. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Isn't it great when you come up with a little aha moment? Well, I say little, I don't mean to diminish it, but just something like that that you can grasp a hold of that makes such a huge impact on how other people are perceiving what you're doing. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And it was the first video I did for my YouTube channel, was showing that. And I'm so embarrassed when I look at it now because I'm speaking so slowly.
I think I remember that video actually, Dorothy. I can
Oh,
remember you being excited when you discovered that analogy in the first place. I think, was that
yes,
when we were in a mastermind together, or it was around that
probably.
time, wasn't it?
Yes, it probably was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I'm going to refilm that because it deserves pride of place.
100%. Absolutely.
Apologise for it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, because this is Make It Happen Club takeover week on Unfrazzle, we don't need to spend ages on this, but I'm just curious to know, how has Make It Happen Club helped you on your journey over the last 3.5 years?
Well, I sometimes feel as if I'm a bit of a slow learner because I see everyone else coming and going and me sort of hanging on in there. But the reason I'm hanging on in there is that Make It Happen Club is a real anchor for me. It's a regular time, and I know it's a commitment because it's there in my diary. And I know I'm going to get the time and the support and the space just to do what I need to do each month. And I don't have to discipline myself to move on and take that step and do that for myself. That doesn't mean well, actually, what it means is I've been able to discipline myself to take on other tasks and master those, because I know I can always rely on you, Louise, to give me that anchor that I need. And there will come a point, I'm sure, where I've got everything else running as I would like it to, and then I can think, okay, so maybe I can take this on now, but I don't need to at the moment. I've got other more important, well, no, they're not more important, but for my business, in terms of conceptually moving it forward, there are more important things for me to work hard on.
Yeah, I love that. I hadn't thought about it in that way before. Thank you for sharing that. That's so interesting. Yeah, it's that holding of space that you know is going to be there for you. Yeah, it can be so tempting to try and push ourselves to do everything on our own, can't it?
Yeah,
And we've only got a limited supply of energy for that, I think. So allowing yourself to be held in that space for one of the things that maybe you do find hard to do on your own. I
yeah,
think that's gorgeous. Thank you, Dorothy, for sharing that.
because I am a bit of a butterfly, so I will flit around quite happily.
But you've
Yeah,
got somewhere you can come and land every month and
yes.
regroup, regather, and then off you go again. Yeah,
Mixing my
lovely.
metaphors, my anchors and my butterflies, but there you go.
I love it. That's cool. So, if anyone has had their curiosity piqued by what you've been talking about with all of your wonderful work with homeopathy, how can they find out more? Where can people find out more about you?
Well, my website is www.dorothywatt.com. So that's quite easy to remember. And you might find me on socials. I am not a huge social person. LinkedIn, you're maybe more likely to find me on, or Facebook, or, oh, yes, YouTube.
Fantastic. Oh, and YouTube would be where they can find that video.
Indeed. And it's at Dorothy Watt UK is my handle on all the socials.
Fabulous. Well, I will make sure those links go in the show notes with this episode as well, so that if you're listening to this and you want to go find out more, you can just go and find the links and click through and go and connect with Dorothy. Thank you so much for being here, Dorothy. It's been wonderful chatting with you, and I'll see you in Make It Happen Club soon. Thank you for listening to Unfrazzle. Sharing is caring, so if you loved this episode, please share it on your socials or head over to Spotify, iTunes, or wherever you get your podcasts and leave me a review. Not only will I be hugely grateful, your ratings and reviews will help others to find this podcast so that even more people can make their ideas happen. Thanks so much, and see you next time.